Deep within the limestone caverns of Sulawesi and Borneo, where the humid air hums with the whispers of time, the walls breathe with life. Here, in flickering torchlight, the first artists of our species pressed their hands against the rock and blew ochre across their fingers, leaving behind ghostly stencils, eternal signatures of human presence. These are not mere markings, they are the birth of symbolic artistic expression 40,000 years ago, a testament to the vibrant and creative early Homo sapien mind, the original 40,000-year-old Picasso. The cave paintings of Sulawesi and Borneo stand among humanity's oldest artistic expressions, predating the famed, more well-known European galleries of Chauvet, Lascaux and Altamira. While Europe's caves have long been hailed as the cradle of art, these Southeast Asian masterpieces have shattered the old narrative. They have proven that the spark of creativity did not ignite in one place alone, but instead flared across the world, wherever Homo sapiens walked. The hand stencils of Sulawesi, some dating back 43,900 years, are more than personal imprints. They are the first visual record of human history. Nearby the iconic hand stencils, a hunting scene unfolds in ochre. Wild pigs and dwarf buffalo, their forms dynamic, their muscles tensed as if frozen mid-charge. The artist did not merely paint animals, they captured their essence, their movement, their story. 700 kilometers away in Borneo's Lubang Jeriji Saleh cave, a magnificent ochre-red bull gazes out from the rock, its outline fluid and confident. The precision of the strokes speaks of an artist who did not just see the beast but understood it, its power, its significance. This was no idle marking, but a deliberate act of storytelling, a myth rendered in pigment. These are not just crude scratches of primitive minds, but sophisticated works of art, bursting with symbolism and technical mastery. Perhaps of greatest importance are the hand stencils, much older than the famed caves of Lascaux, older than Altamira, and older than the first strokes of charcoal at Chauvet. Archaeologists have theorized that the hand stencils, dozens of them, overlapping like spectral signatures, were not random imprints, but deliberate acts of identity. The artist would press a palm against the cold rock, then blow a spray of red ochre through a hollow reed, leaving a negative silhouette, a ghostly record of themselves. Some hands are missing fingers, a possible sign of ritual mutilation, mourning, or even early counting systems. Other cultural anthropologists theorized that these were not just signatures, they may have been prayers. In some caves, the stencils cluster around painted animals as if the hands were reaching for them, summoning them, claiming power over them. A shaman's ritual, a hunter's magic? We may never know. But the intent is clear. These were not idle marks, but symbolic expression. This was art. Near the hand stencils, something even more astonishing unfolds. Besides the hunting scene are the tiny humanoid figures surrounding them, mythical hunters, their limbs elongated, their bodies part human, part beast. Are these the earliest depictions of therianthropes, half-human, half-animal beings in art? Is it the mythology of the early Southeast Asian Homo sapiens? To fully appreciate the level of artistic expression, one must closely examine the paintings. Upon closer inspection, the precision of these paintings reveals staggering technical skill. The artists did not simply dab pigment, they engineered it. The ancient artisans ground iron-rich ochre into powder and mixed it with water, tree sap, or even blood, to create vivid reds and oranges that have endured for millennia. They achieved their striking hand stencils by blowing pigment through hollow bones or reeds, essentially inventing the world's first airbrush technique 40,000 years before modern spray painting. These visionary artists transformed the cave walls themselves into living canvases, using natural contours and bulges in the rock to give their animal figures startling dimensionality, making the beasts appear to move and breathe in the flickering torchlight. These artists understood perspective, movement, and composition. What tools does it take to create such works? Not just minds, but tools capable of abstraction, of seeing the rock not as mere stone, but as a living canvas. The artists of Sulawesi and Borneo mixed ochre with water or animal fat, chewed reeds into brushes, used hollow bones to spray pigment, tools of innovation. In Sulawesi and Borneo, the palette was diverse. Ochre from iron-rich clay, charcoal from burnt wood, but the binders may have differed. Perhaps they used plant sap or egg whites or something lost to time. Their techniques reveal staggering cognitive leaps. The artist demonstrated visuospatial mastery by translating three-dimensional beasts onto flat surfaces, using the natural curves of the cave wall to suggest depth and movement. Every stroke was loaded with profound meaning that resonates across the centuries, proliferating multiple theories. The handprints may represent claims of territory, rites of passage, or connections to the spirit world, serving as both personal signatures and spiritual petitions. The mysterious therianthropes provide compelling evidence of shamanic beliefs, revealing how these ancient people envisioned humans transcending their physical forms to become beasts. The animal depictions were far more than simple records of food sources. They were sacred beings that served as intermediaries between the physical and spiritual worlds. For decades, Europe was seen as the stage where human cognition reached its zenith. But Sulawesi and Borneo force a reckoning. Artistic brilliance was not born in one place. It was universal, a birthright of our species. Fossil evidence shows that the brains of early Southeast Asian Homo sapiens were not larger than their ancestors, but reorganized. Parietal lobes expanded for spatial reasoning, prefrontal cortex humming with foresight. These were minds conceivably capable of planning murals that would outlast generations, of constructing symbols that bound communities together. The caves of Chauvet, Lascaux, and Altamira have long been heralded as the Sistine chapels of prehistory. Cathedrals of Ice Age imagination where mammoths, lions and bison gallop across the walls in strokes of charcoal and ochre. But now, with the discovery of Sulawesi and Borneo's ancient masterpieces, we must ask, how do these two artistic traditions compare? Were they echoes of a single creative explosion? Or did they evolve independently, shaped by different hands, different myths, different worlds? In the torchlit depths of Chauvet, the animals are not mere prey, they are gods. Aurochs lock horns in eternal combat. Lions stalk with liquid grace, their muscles coiled beneath painted fur. Rhinos charge, their silhouettes vibrating with primal energy. These are not static portraits, but stories, frozen moments of a world where humans were not yet the dominant force. In Sulawesi and Borneo, the beasts are different, but the reverence is the same. Here the artists painted the creatures of their own jungles. Wild boars mid-stride, their bristled backs arched in motion. Dwarf buffalo frozen in ochre, their bulk rendered with the same anatomical precision as Europe's bison. And then there is the great bull of Borneo. Its outline so confident, so alive, it could have been painted yesterday. The artists of Lascaux and Altamira worked in sweeping, confident strokes, using charcoal and iron-rich ochres to build depth and shadow. They scraped away rock to create relief, making horses seem to leap from the walls. At Chauvet they smudged charcoal with their fingers to mimic fur, daubed manganese to stain muzzles black, a chiaroscuro of the Paleolithic, and the materials. The painters of Lascaux mined their pigments from the earth, iron oxides for red, manganese for black, kaolin for white. They mixed them with animal fat, water, even blood, turning caves into laboratories of colour. In Sulawesi and Borneo, the techniques were no less sophisticated but different. The hand stencils, created by pressing a palm to the rock and blowing pigment through a reed, required not just skill but intent. The artists mixed ochre with binders, chewed plants to make brushes, used the cave's contours to give their beasts dimension. Just as in Europe, they were not just painters. They were illusionists, turning stone into living flesh. The parallels are uncanny. In both Europe and Southeast Asia, art was not just decoration, it was expression. What does this all mean? That whether in the caves of France or the casts of Indonesia, the same artistic spark ignited, the need to leave a mark, to transcend the moment. The artists of Chauvet and Sulawesi never met. They lived in different worlds under different stars, but they shared the same fire in the mind, the fire that makes us human. The artists of these caves were not primitive. They were dreamers, storytellers, seekers of meaning. Art was not a European invention, it was a human one. And in the damp, echoing chambers of these caves, where handprints still glow like embers after 40,000 years, we hear the clearest message of all. The artists of Sulawesi and Borneo were not latecomers to creativity. They were its pioneers. This documentary is titled The Original 40,000-Year-Old Picasso, produced by Sclera Documentary Films and written by Dr. Samir Meralli.